And then there were things like, do you remember the house that we lived in? First of all, we were taken to this dirty, great big mansion, and then we went. You know, the different places. All those things stick in my mind because they left such an impression. It was another planet. It was another world. It was just unbelievable. Because at the time I was 19. And
21.
21. Are you saying the truth? And it was just so alien, so completely different to the lives that we'd had back here in England. I mean, I was in show business, and yes, I'd worked with famous people and worked in the theatre and worked in television, but Hollywood, I mean, that was just like the ultimate. It was just fantastic.
Very
absolutely
whimsical.
Fantastic.
It was unbelievable because you were there. You're actually walking on this territory, and you know where you're going. But it was still we didn't know where we were going to stay. We just knew that we were going to be staying in a house. But to stay in this huge mansion, I mean, bearing in mind there was 4 of us plus our secretary, Jean Anderson. She was our secretary, and she did a wonderful job looking after us. And if it wasn't, I think if it wasn't for her, it wouldn't have been such an easy thing to settle into, because she made everything so much more possible and easy. Everything was done for us.
She kept everything, kept us all organised, basically. So we knew where we were.
So we just went into this big windy drive, and there it was, this big white mansion on the hill.
Yeah, and we had, do you remember we had a Mexican couple, a caretaker and a cook? And that's when I was first introduced to Mexican food. And I've been eating Mexican food ever since, and I cook it myself now. She was terrific. And she used to do these Mexican foods and with the sour cream and just delicious.
She was a
and
wonderful lady, actually.
Since then, I've been hooked on Mexican food.
But it was nice, just for once, you know, we didn't have to do anything. And one thing I could say of the Cross, we were well looked after.
Yeah.
We didn't have to shop, we didn't have to do anything. And it was great, but it was boring as well, because we wanted to go out and do these things. We wanted to go to a supermarket. This is all pre-shoot, so we weren't known, apart from maybe the media cover. I don't know what the...
Yes, they'd been talking of it in the teen magazines and things like that. They had started talking about these 4 youngsters being brought over from England, the new Sid and Marty Croft series, etc., etc. But of course, nobody had seen the show. It hadn't been made, let alone... we started making this.
Ironically enough, we went out, I think it was just the boys, it was John, Wayne and I went out, I'm not sure, I think you may have been with us. And we were just going down the strip, and we went into this music shop, and there was Elton John. And he'd just come over to America to start touring, so he's fairly unknown in America, so it was so whimsical that you can go so far, be included in something so fantastic. And then there's someone else there that's equally as famous and doing the same sort of thing. So his musicians are there buying this, that and the other, for the tours. But I believe it was probably one of his first American tours. So he was starting out, we were starting out, and it was just absolutely... And of course John, Big John, knew them. And Big John knew everybody, he introduced us to lots and lots of people. When you look at the concept of the Bugaloos, you have 2 actors and 2 musicians. Now Big John and Little John, myself, we were the musicians, and Caroline and Wayne were the actors. So we were bouncing off each other all the time. And I taught you to play guitar, do you remember?
Yes.
And she said to me, well, will you teach me? I said, but you'll need to cut your nails first. And of course she had these lovely nails. And it took a big decision for you to do that. But, so I was sort of helping in that respect. And then, of course, that would be reciprocal with the acting. We go through lines and things like this. And when I first read the first script, I learned front to back. Wrong, because they don't film like that. And I wasn't aware of that, but I was told that that scene may not be done until the end of the actual filming.
Yeah, never in sequence.
So, I'm used to live performances, so it's start to finish. And it was such an experience. But it worked. We got on so well. And we really did like each other's company, and we did go out quite a lot. And in fact, if someone wanted to go out, someone else said, yeah, I'll come with you. And we used to go out as a group.
Our relationship with the rest of the cast and the people on the set, it was great. We had Tony Charmley, who is the director, choreographer, and I learned something from him, because whenever things were taking too long, he'd go, time is money. So, and that always stayed with me, because it's true, isn't it? Time is money. You can mess around, you can have a good time, but at the end of the day, we're there to do a job, and this is costing a lot of money. And
we were there
you
to have
got
fun. So there was a bit of a conflict.
We couldn't. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we'd be filming and
We got thrown off the set a few times.
Got thrown off the set, but
yeah.
we couldn't talk. We were just laughing so much, giggling.
But that's the bonding we had.
Not very. It was good. But then everybody else on the set was laughing as well. And Martha Raye was the world's worst. I mean, she was the world's worst. She was outrageous, wasn't she? Outrageous. She was really. Well, you can probably remember stories better than I can.
Well,
I think she
but she was a fantastic lady. We learned so much
very
from
nice.
her.
True,
She almost adopted
true
us.
professional.
It was fantastic. We went to a lovely restaurant one night, didn't we? And it was
Yeah.
like an introduction, like, welcome and so on. It was really nice. But she was so professional, and we all learned so much.
And outrageous as well.
And with Billy Barty, it was the same.
Yes.
Because he was a drummer at heart, and he probably had the smallest kit of drums in the world at that time. I couldn't resist that because I'm a drummer, you see. So he would have this set of drums set up on we had two lots. We had 19 and 21, was it?
Oh God, I can't remember.
I think Lucille Ball was in between.
Lucille Ball
anyway.
was next door.
That was quite interesting.
Yeah.
That's another story. So, but however, he would have his kit set up, and he would just go and play these drums from time to time. Because you imagine there's quite a bit of time to kill during shooting, and of course I would go with him, and then we would just talk drums and riffs and music in general. I'd ask about the American scene, he'd ask about the English scene, and I'd get on his drums. I'd say, have you tried this riff and that? And we'd go missing, and we'd be there for hours, and then, they'd come looking for us, and Billy and I would be at the back there playing these drums. And, I really miss that guy, and sadly he departed recently, and he was an absolute treasure, I think, to the Bugaloos. He was the backbone of the Bugaloos, with support of Martha Raye, of course.
And of course we named that dog that sort of inherited us, called Sparky. When we lived up near the park, we had a stray dog came along one day, and he ended up being our dog. We called him Sparky after Billy. But no, they were all wonderful. They were all different. All of them on the set were
It was
great.
such a close
good atmosphere.
set.